Okay, we're going to do a walk around for you on your X19H. And starting up front, you have your battery, which is a 12-volt marine RV style battery, deep cycle. Your battery will work your water pump and some lights in your trailer, but it's really has limited usage. Oh, I don't need this right now. And it will keep its charge plugged into one power source, whether at a campsite or at home. And when you plug your 7-way into the back of your tow vehicle, there's a charge line that keeps it charged. Up here in the front, you have two 20-gallon propane tanks, and there is a switch off in the back underneath here that, if you can see it, I know Nikki's trying to get that for us, and it moves from one side to the other, so you can change over tanks. You can leave it in the middle, and then both tanks, one will empty, the other will empty. It's a matter of choice as to what you want to do. For the purpose of this demonstration, I have both open. Your propane runs your stove, your heat, and is the alternate source of energy for your refrigerator. The refrigerator primarily operates when it's plugged in on 110 power, but if you unplug it, it will, as long as it's on automatic, and I'll show you that when we're inside, it will automatically go from electric to propane. The propane will go a long way. The biggest consumption of propane is heat. And right now, of course, you don't have to worry about that. So let's talk about, before we go around the trailer, let's talk about a couple of things about when you get to a campsite. So when you get to a campsite, you're going to back this in, and then the first step is that you want to level the trailer. So my suggestion is that you get a bullet level, little one, and the first thing you're going to want to do for leveling is to level side to side. So you put your little bullet level on the floor here in this direction, east-west, and then you look at it and see what you have to, whether you have to raise the tires on one side or not. And let's assume you have to raise it a couple inches, which is pretty standard. What I suggest you carry is you get an 8-foot board that is pressure treated, 2x6x8. Cut it up in 1-foot pieces because you're going to need it for stabilizers as well. So what you do is you back it in, you check your level. Let's say you have to raise it. You put a piece of board behind or in front of each tire on one side. You direct your driver to pull it up. Stop. It's on top of the boards now. Recheck your level. So let's assume at that point that those two boards got you level. At this point, you want to chock your tires. And for chocking your tires, you buy an 8-foot piece of pressure-treated 2x4, cut that up in 8 pieces, and then you put one behind each tire or in front, as the case may be. And you can do it both sides, you can do it one side. It doesn't matter as long as it's stable. From that point, you want to level the trailer front to rear. So now we're going to go back up front. At this point, you're going to disconnect your trailer from your car. And once that's accomplished, put that level back where it was. Now you're going to put it north and south, front to rear, and if necessary, crank it up or down to get it fully leveled. Last but not least, in your storage compartment here, is a crank for your stabilizers. And remember, they're only stabilizers. They're not levelers. So when you're all leveled out, You crank them down. You can get an electric drill to do it with a proper chock. It's easier. And then you get it down, you put a piece of board under them. There go the 4 extra pieces of board. Put it underneath, crank them down, or use the drill until it hits the board. Just give it a good tight pull, and you're set. During your stay at a campground, you may find that the trailer starts to rattle around a little bit. Nothing to it, not a problem. Just get back out and give a tug on your stabilizers to keep them tight to the ground. Okay, we're going to move on now to what we call the city side of the trailer. Over here, first thing we're going to have is this is your hot water heater. Your hot water heater works on either gas or electric. If you're plugged in a campground, you want to use the electric so you don't soak up the propane. For the purposes of your demonstration, I'm going to leave Nikki, our videographer, out here, and I'm going to go inside at the moment and turn on the hot water heater. I'll show you where that is when we're in the trailer. And you can see and hear that goes on. Now, once the hot water heater is on, you can leave it on when you're camping, because as you use your water, when it needs to, it'll go back on again automatically, and it will heat your water. Obviously, if you're going to use it for dishwashing and showers, you want hot water. So give me 1 minute. I'm going to leave Nikki here, and I'm going to go in the trailer, and she's going to let me know when that thing lights up.
Go ahead.
All right, this is your outside shower, hot and cold. Now, let's talk about your water system. There are 2 water systems that you have in your trailer. This one here is your city water connection. So let's talk about this, what I call the imaginary post. You're at a campground, there's a post over here, and on the post there's a water spigot. There's an electrical plug. As we can see, I've got you plugged in over here. There is a sewer hole if you have sewer service. You get cable service. So you want to get a white hose or a white with a blue stripe to signify potable water. So you hook up the water, put it right here. That's just like your house. Water will directly inject into the trailer as soon as you put your spigot on and you start your shower and you use your toilet. It's going to draw that water in as long as you open that faucet. I am recommending that you put a pressure reducer on the water first, because the pressure reducer, and if you're in a campground, it could be 50, 100 campsites, and the water pressure is constantly going up and down, and you don't want to take a chance of blowing blowing up a hose inside your trailer and have a mess. So you'll get a pressure reducer. Some people will also put on a filter at that point. So that's the one way you get water into your trailer. The second way is that if you're going to travel and you want to use water in your system, you put water in your potable water tank. And you put in, maybe 5-6 gallons. You don't want to overdo it, because that's going to add weight to your trailer, unnecessary weight. So in order to use that, inside you'll see that there's a water pump on your control panel. So when you want to use water out of this tank, you flip on the control panel, flip on the water pump, and then when you open up your spigot or flush your toilet, you'll be able to use water because it'll come from this tank. If you forget to use the pump, you're not going to get water out of the tank. You must use it. But you don't need it for city water connection. You only need it for the potable water tank. And I'll show you that inside when we demonstrate your spigots. This is the back of your heater. If it's on, you don't want to touch it because this will be hot as blazes. Over here, satellite hookup, if you want to, if you need it. And you can hook it up right here. This little action right here is called the black tank flush. So it's a sanitary thing. After you've cleaned out your tanks, we're going to talk about that in a minute. If you want to rinse the black tank out, you'll hook up a utility hose, not your water hose, a utility hose to this spot, let it go, fill the black tank, and then rinse it out again. And if you still see, there is a tank level monitor on your control panel inside. If you're still seeing that there's residue in the black tank, do it again, only put in a little bit of water. And then when you're driving home, let it flush around. It'll be like an agitator in a washing machine. And then the next time you go out, empty the tank. Some people do that every time. Others do it only when needed if the tank is not emptying properly. Now, I want to go back here for a minute. I passed by two important points. These are called low point drains. And if you look under the trailer, you will see that there's a couple of petcocks over there. And they are for your potable water tank. If you don't want to keep water in the tank, if you use the trailer, you just open that up and you will drain the water out. There's no restriction. You don't have to worry about it. It's not going to be a violation. It's just plain water. And when it's done, you just close it up. This is your sewer connection. Now, please forgive us because the trailer has not been washed yet. It will be washed this afternoon. But this is the cap that comes off, and you hook your sewer hose to this spot right here. And then your sewer hose goes in the ground. You have a gray tank and a black tank flush. The first thing you do when you're emptying your tanks, you pull the black first. That's the toilet waste. That will come out, and then you pull the gray, which will wash out the black. When you're finished with that, you might want to get a hose and rinse it out a little better, and then you can store it in your bumper in the back, because that's what it's made for. There are caps on it, and you can shove that sewer hose in there. I suggest that you buy a box of electrical gloves to keep in the trailer, so for your own sanitation, you use it while you're working with the sewer. Once you've emptied the sewer, washed out the hose, again, you put it in here. And then you're done. If you go someplace and you go dry camping and you don't have a sewer outlet, and some state parks may not have it, on your way out of the park, there'll be a dump station. You still do the same thing. You hook up the hose, put it in the hole, pull the black, pull the gray, and rinse it out. And then put it inside the back bumper. One last thing on this side. This is the back of your refrigerator. You do not need to remove it. If you want to clean it out, if maybe you see there might be some leaves or something, you just turn these, pull that off, and blow out the leaves. Put it back on. You should never really need to use it. All right, we're going to move around. And for now, I'm going to open up one of the beds for you. You don't really need to do two because they're both the same. So I'm going to first show you what you do here. Oh, it's locked, which is good. Unlock. This is really a two-person operation, but it can be done by one. You just have to be careful. Because if you notice, when I release this, see what happens? That releases up here. And now the bed can come out. So I walk around over to this side. Do the same thing. Now, I'm going to bring it down. Bring it down carefully. Okay. Once it's down, you want to pull the skirt over. And the rest of this operation is going to take place inside. So we'll pull the skirt down over it. Okay. And now we're going to go in your trailer and pick up the remainder of your demo. Before we go in, there's a little switch here that doesn't do much. There's an underbelly light that lights up at night. Well, we'll shut that off for now. Here's your awning. You have your awning lights that everybody loves. You have your outside speakers. And on this side, there is a vent. This is for the fan that's over your stove. Extra cable outlet and two 110 plugs with a spot to hang your TV if you so desire. You can disconnect your TV that's in there. There's a bracket for it. You pull it out here, hang it on here, and you can watch TV outside. Of course, the idea of camping is not to be watching TV. All right, so we're going to go inside, and the first thing I'm going to do is show you the control panel, which is right here. So your control panel has your tank levels. There's your battery, fresh water. There's water in the fresh tank, black, gray, and these are your water heater buttons and your water pump button and your awning extend and retract. So while we're doing that, I'm going to extend your awning out all the way for you before we start so you can just see it. There we go. All right. Well, Nikki's going to come inside, and we're going to begin the inside again. So where we're going to start is we'll go back here. We're going to go to the back of the trailer. And first thing I'm going to turn on for you, if you go all the way back, Nikki. Mm-hmm. I'm going to turn on the TV for you so you can see that that works. And look at the quality. That's operating on antenna only. It's not operating on, a cable. This here is the area where you release this, and if you release it, you can take the TV off the bracket and put it outside. There is a spare bracket for that purpose right here. So now we'll shut the TV off. Just so you can see it, I'm going to put it right here in the drawer. This is a little remote for your radio. There's two zones for your speakers inside and out. I'm going to put this in here. Okay. Next, while we're back here, this is the thermostat for your heat. We're not going to put the heat on today, but all you do is adjust it here and turn it on up here. heat comes out right here. Okay, now, moving forward, this is your gas detector. These are your fuses and circuit breakers. I suggest that you carry some fuses, because the last thing you want to happen is to blow a fuse and not be able to use something. Okay, here's your fridge. The controls are up here. I have it on auto. It's on. Press it on, put it to auto, and it's operating. It's at its coldest. It's operating right now on electric. If I unplug the electric, it'll go to gas automatic. And I just put it on, so it's not going to be real cold, because it does take a little time for that to happen. For now, we're going to shut that off. Okay, moving over to this side, I am going to turn the water pump on. Water pump, as I told you earlier, runs on the battery. And voila, it works. These will all be set up nicely, but right now, the trailer has not been cleaned. All right, I'm going to ask Nikki to switch places with me now. So I just wanted you to remember what you're going to do with your table and with your sofa. Need a little breather here. With your table, you have two stanchions, and the stanchions fit into the table here and into the floor. All you do is lift the table up, take the stanchions out, lay them on the floor, and the table will lay in here. There is a ledge on either side, and that's where the table lays. You fill in the cushions from the back, and you've got a bed. And of course, there is storage underneath on both. This is your jackknife sofa. Pretty simple, easy to do. Easier said than done. All right. Now I'm going to move to the stove. Nikki and I are going to change places again. Your stove is propane operated. There is a striker here. You have 3 burners, and you have an oven. Now I'm going to show you how it works. You turn this is your rear, to the little flame, and then strike it. Flame, strike it, and so forth. This is the cover. Do not, I repeat, do not ever try to cook on top of this. They have this cover here for extra workspace, but I've had customers that have tried to cook and it'll explode. So be careful. All right, and with your stove, it's the same thing. You turn to the striker and strike it, because there's a pilot inside that stove. And all right, and now we're going to turn on the mood lights. There they are. Okay. Now I hope you've been able to hear me, because the air conditioner is running, but that makes it acceptable for me and Nikki to be in here and not have to sweat. Well, not, at least not too much. All right, so now, bathroom. Pretty simple. You have your shower, sink, 2 switches over here, one for lights and one your fan. Make sure if you use the fan and you put it up, that you put it down, or else you could have a wet floor. Your GFI switch is in here as well. Now what I'm going to do for you is we are going to open up that one bed that we started with when we first came in. Now, light on. This is stored in between the cushion. And this piece is the piece you use to push up the frame so that you can and then lay the bed there. So just bear with me because this takes a little doing. Set this right in the middle of that frame. Of course, I'm having trouble doing it. Maybe something.
Go ahead.
Okay, I've got it hooked up. What you do, there is a hole up here at the ceiling that you want to push it. Oh, hang on. And there we go.
I'm right behind you.
Did you get it?
Yes.
All right. After you get that done, we'll put your mattress in. And there you have it. Okay, thank you, Nikki.
Got it.
Let me bring the other in now. Okay, shut off the water pump, the lights. And AC. These are your books. Read them carefully. There's a pamphlet and a book for everything in your trailer. And I'm going to put those up here in the cabinet. All right, well, it takes care of your video. And if you have any questions, you can ask me tomorrow. Yeah, it is tomorrow when you come to pick up your trailer. I look forward to seeing you. Thank you.